I came across a video, and when I was going through that video, I was so interested in that video based on what I had. For real, for the many years I've lived in this world, I have never heard of that. Believe it or not. And this is the first time. If this video did not come up, I will not see, that is, hear or even believe. Even if I hear it, I won't believe it until I see it. That this kind of thing is still happening in this world, in this time of age that we are. Well, it is very good to have self-development. It is very good for a place to develop themselves. Use the royal resources they have to see how they can develop their town, their village. Then let's leave the city for now. Let's talk of the town and the village. This is a place black people are not allowed. Yeah, black people are not allowed. If you are black, whether you are in Africa, you are not allowed. And this place is in Africa. Yeah, I have said to myself personally that I'm going there. I am traveling to that place to go and see. I've seen it here, to go and interview. I just want to go and interview, have a kind of one-on-one talk with these people. And this journey, I am taking this journey. But for now, I want to drop it to see if my fans are what they really like for me to go and find out for them. Because this is like a test drive I'm putting on my channel to see if my fans will like me to start traveling and get all this thing to their table so that they can have an awareness of this. Let's say, for example, that this thing is happening in Africa. In Africa, it's happening in Africa, a place in Africa where blacks are not allowed. And this is a black, Africans are black people. And these people are white people who do not want the blacks to be in their own town. They are not allowed in that very, they can be in the other part of their land. So, but when they come to that place is a border. You have to have visa to enter there. You have to have visa you are not allowed. You just, even if you're a student, these people I'm telling you, they have their school, they have their hospital, they have their government, they have their, they have everything that you can find, and they are building more. And their natural resources are farming, they are farmers. But my question, the reason why I was interested in this video, there are some certain questions that was answered. And this person is my friend that is called One Day, everybody know him, and he's a historical man. When he's trying to make that people that are in diaspora to know that something is happening in Africa, he was creating an awareness. And I know that what this guy is really doing a massive work. That sometimes when I looked at him and when I come across it, I used to say, whoa. And because of that, I'm going to be one-on-one and meet him so that both of us can do video together. Because I love the history of what he's doing. And I want to be part of this journey. And but my question, there was one question that he was answering, that was answered on that day. I was interested. And that brings me to this. And please, this video, I need you to share it to get to one this, that this question, because he was answering, there was a lot of questions he was answering that was so sensitive, that was so important, but was not answered by the very Iranian. This is a place that is called Iranian, by the Iranian citizen. They have their money, they have their money, they have their own money, which is spent within them there. They not only their money, they have, let me, before I will come to that part, let me pause that part for a bit. I want to pause that part because I'm coming back to that part. This is what caught my interest. I want to take it slow, but I don't want this video to be long. My question is, with all this global crisis that is happening, and Africans are running from their country to diaspora, white man country, to Europe and other people. Just imagine that Europe said blacks are not allowed in their country. What would be the survival of those African, like the country in Africa that and the economy is not strong. They are really derailing, that some people cannot even see 1 square meter to eat. And if you have the opportunity of Japa, now you want to, they say no black people is needed in their country, or no other people they need. So that means the black will suffer. The Africans will suffer a lot. A lot of people will suffer. And let's say that, let's take it again, further that in diaspora, like in Europe or in America, in Europe or in a place, that like a African, now say this land is being bought by us, and no of white are being allowed into that very place. Is it going to be possible? It will never be possible. I have never seen it happen that an African will go to a white man land and say this, that this place is being bought, so you people are not allowed. It's not device teaching, and it's not you see, cultural or device, it's not device teaching, and it's not cultural. It is not unity. And that is why you see so many countries suffered if you have to have this insensitive, or if you have to have this kind of idea created out of nowhere. Let us think of that. Self-development is very good, but restriction is bad. Restriction is bad. Self-development, but restriction, what brings more development is other diversities from other parts of the country that bring, because with the idea they bring from their country, which just, some of them are very creative, but maybe in their country they don't have that chances. The economy, okay, let me give you an example. In my country, there's a guy that can create. He's so creative. He uses local material to create cars. That cars, you can never see it in anywhere of the world. But when he started, he needed the funding. The economy there does not allow nobody to help him. And if anybody, people are just dropping 1 or 2, because sometimes you put something on the road, people just drop. Wow, I love what you do. They just drop little, and that way, when he collects the money, he goes and start building. When he finishes, he goes back there, and that's how he make money to make that one, sampling that one, that people in the world might see that they might have a big funding. These are the problems. These are the problem. That this guy cannot be able to go further with this, because he has created it. You see, these are the problems. So these people need to what? When they manage to go out of the country, they run around 1 or 2 ways, or by the grace of God, they get papers and be able to, now you see them, immediately you see them get the opportunity. You see them going to technology school. And you see them, that are the people, most of them are creative. After they graduate, they start bringing this idea, because now there is funding, they are in the company, they are this, you see them creating all these things. There's a guy that creates this airplane, yeah, from local materials. And the airplane can fly. And he has called my country people to please help if government can put funding on that. But they have not listened to him, because they feel that, I don't know what they feel. These are lacking self-development. Is that not so? Now this person has this opportunity and travel, and he has opportunity to travel. Let's say he has opportunity to travel, and why he wanted to go, and they say blacks are not needed. So how would this person bring his idea into that place? That development will not be in there. Because if this person managed to enter there, he manage to get their citizenship, their naturalization, get into their school. With that buzzy idea, and the country will gain from it. These are countries that opportunity are being given. Now, let me say what, let me come back to what I was saying. In this town, they have their self-development. Everything is there. They have the hospital, everything is there. But the people in that country cannot be able, the same black and people that are there, the African that are there, people that are there from that same country are not able to access that place or see how that place is. So they are not seeing it from interviews, from the YouTuber, from world.A, from as people who has gone there. And most of the people that have gone there and interviewed that place are white people like them, or are from that same place. That opportunity, we can see it. But my question is, the history that they have are the history of the black Africans. And these are the history they are following. And these people, my question is, if you say the blacks are not allowed into that place, then why is the history of the black people that you are following, like Sarkozy, the people in Mandela, the people that you put on that very places, are blacks, are not white? It's not about this, it's about these are Africans, and they are not this thing. It is allowed that people migrate, like me now. People migrate, I migrate here, people migrate from different country to come into a country. And when they come there, they like that place, they become family, they grow. Yeah, it is in everywhere. They have like this where I am now, they have community of China, community of Jews, community of Nigerian, community of this, community of Africa, community of this, community. That does not mean that they are the owner of that place, and that does not give them the right to say that nobody can come to that place. You can't try it. Yeah, I've never seen it done. But there's a part in Nigeria, which I am going to go and to see if there are other indigenous are not allowed, or other religions. There's some countries that are not allowed into that place, are not allowed this, are not allowed this. I am going to be going through, because these are so interesting. But it's so scary at the same time, because you being a black, or you being in that religion, because there's a part in Nigeria that the religions are not allowed. They don't even want to hear one bit of it, which I am going to discover. And some people are not even allowed there. But why are they not Nigerian? That sometimes Africans, you see, that Africans country have this kind of generosity to like allow these things to happen in their country, and the citizens, most of them, are not happy and are looking at it. But the major thing that these people are saying, these are not the problem of this country. The problem of this country is the economy. The economy, they want the betterness of the country. They do not want to become a farmer. They want the economy. And at the end of the day, there is something that came up again, that the guy was saying that the hospital that they have here, it is only for the Iranians, for them that are there. But if it is beyond them, then they have to fly the person to the main city, which is South Africa, in their central general hospital, for that person to be. Then, so okay, let's take for example that you say that the blacks are not allowed there, South Africans are not allowed there. This is your own place, Iranian. This place is for you, are not allowed. Then let's say the same thing that, as you said, South Africa, and I say you people too, the South Africa inside the same country where they are. This is their country, and they say to you people too that you are not allowed in, apart from this is the only place you should be, but you are not allowed out of that place. Then how do you fly those people to that very place? That means it will not be allowed that any of you can fly anybody when there is major problem, like it's a major problem on the medical health, which you have to take emergency straight to the general hospital in South Africa. But these people, you say that these people are not allowed in, but you are allowed to go in there. That's not diversity. The culture of South African, it is what you are. These people are studying Afrikaner. The same fly them out, and a lot of you can visit, go into South Africa, do something and still come, but they are not allowed into that place that you are keeping the culture. Okay, let's say South Africa say they are also keeping their culture. They are keeping their culture. What will become of the Iranians and what will become of South Africa as a whole? Sometimes when we are doing some things, we should also have this kind of sense that there's a diversity. It is good, like self-development. This thing that Iranian did is an open eye to so many communities, so many villages, to so many people like Nigerians, so many people that always want look at the government, want to do importing all the time, want to look at the government, the country want to look at every time importing, every time facing the Western world for survival. And whenever the Western world have it shaking it, they have more shaking. So what happened is that if you want the Western world, the diaspora, they try to be self-developed on themselves. They try to create, if you come to London, UK, Britain, America, all of them, they tell you see that these are the same thing that these people are doing. This is the thing they are doing, and that's why they can survive through their natural resource. That is what I say to Nigeria. I say, Nigeria, it is time for us to begin to see into our natural resources, because a lot of people, China's, are taking from your natural and becoming better, becoming billionaires. Lebanons. When I come to that country by the grace of God, I'm going to be going into which I'm not going to answer, but I'm going to mention here, but into a lot of natural resources in Nigeria are productive. The only thing is to bring the machine that can refactoring this thing. That is what Nigerian government does. If Nigerian government can sit down and know that they can use their natural resources to create a lot of employment in that country, they will sit down and they will sit down and stop using oil block, everybody oil block, and stop looking at importation. Rather creating our own to import. Look at when Nigeria was into agriculture, how rich Nigeria was. Nigeria never knew that they have oil. It was agriculture. People were being empowered into farming. People were empowered. Today, where is the farm? There are a lot of vast land that are being wasted. Nothing was being done. Oh, you bring money now, give to power now, look for power, bring to power, create things now, create. Okay, fine. I wish that a lot of people, because I want Nigeria to see this, that you don't need a government. Let a community, the king or whoever, the community king, they can like I'm going to make like already as a whole now, or this can start doing their own self-development. Yeah. A community, it really can start. It's not like you say that they will not be able to enter, but people can start creating things, looking how you can create things, how you can do things, how you can take the natural resources, even if it's possible. Nobody will tell me that in every town or village that there is no rich man. There must be a rich man. There must be a rich family. And that family, not one, not two, not three, should be able to help this thing, community. They can contribute as much. Create an industry. Use their natural resources. If they don't know what to create, then they can produce rubber, they can produce slippers, they can go into farming, they can empower the farming, become a tractor farming, make it power, do poultry, do a lot of things, do their own hospital where, not looking at health center, not looking at general hospital, not looking at this thing. Community come together, develop their place, make it powerful, put security, make there be security. I'm telling you, not creating their own money. Like this one, they have the power to. That is what South Africa are not happy, that people are in their own country, creating their own money. Well, they say that they have been there for a donkey years. Just imagine that lot of blacks, lot of Africans were taken out of different African countries and were exported for slavery in America, in UK, in all parts, France, in other parts. They have black community, but they have never said that white cannot enter there. They only created that, oh, fine, for you people being with us, we are now made you an indigent, a citizen, part of us, but this is your community where you can practice your tradition, do your this thing, create your tradition. That is how the feeling of this African that you have missed for a long time, but does not give you the, it does not give the develop your place, make it nice, develop your community, make it nice, do it better, have your head of whoever, your this and that, do it, but still, we still have the president of the country, which is, we have the king, we have the government, we have the president, we have the same, and we are one country with one money, one diversity, one unity, one love, but growing our community, growing the economy, because if a community is good, like that place that is good, a lot of South African can go there and help also to develop. It can also create, it can also circulate, it can also create. Listen, let me tell you, with that kind of thing now in Iranian, if they could open the border and allow other people coming in there, they just say, it will create a Jesus. And people say, wow, look what Iranian do. Iranian part of the state in call it, they say not a country, but now they're trying to call it a country in that this is, we are neighbors. If they say it's a state, well, they can decide to say, okay, let's make this a state, a part of South African, and at the same time, let other people be aware that, listen, building a community, it will cause other people work fun. You know, South African economy is very good. This is an eye-opener that a part of South African are really enjoying the economy. Another part are on the capital economy and they are finding it hard to survive. Well, I have a video for you, and that video is coming from my own friend that I love watching his video. When I come across a hot video on him, I always say that this guy has a question, and I always have to want to go through and say, please, I need him to see this video too. He has done well in this. Keep on one day. For your video, I am putting on this platform for people, my fans also to see and see if this is what they also want me to be doing, because I love history. I love history, but sometimes you have to be very, very careful not to get to where you will get to, and you will be involved in what you don't know. But it's good to find out history. Let us watch this. Please subscribe, comment, like this video. I am your boy Jimmy White. See you in the next video. But for now, let's put this.
Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope on a boat in the year 1652. Would you say that Orania is a controversial town in South Africa?
Orania is definitely. I don't have to doubt it. I know that Orania is controversial.
Orania.
What is happening? Can somebody answer?
Section 235 of the South African Constitution acknowledges the right of cultural groups to self-determination. But what about the Afrikaner enclave of Orania, which also uses race to determine who can be allowed to live in that community?
The main reason why it's controversial is misperception. I think so, it's my personal opinion. Misperception about Orania. The people who have the most to say about Orania have never visited.
Just say a prayer for my city. Just say a prayer for my city. And what are your favorite things about Orania?
Have you ever seen a 16 or 17-year-old girl walk around 9 o'clock at night? Anywhere in South Africa?
It's not common.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have burglar guards, and if they leave a bike somewhere, tomorrow morning it's still there.
Would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
It's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Iranians.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I don't even know how to feel right now. Should I tell you guys that I'm super scared? Because I'm about to do one of the craziest videos that I've never dreamt of. This particular video would definitely go down as one of my most sensitive vlog ever. I mean, I'm currently in Cape Town, driving to a town that so many South Africans don't want to hear about. I mean, if I talk about South Africans, I'm talking about Black South Africans, indigenous South Africans, people that were here before the settlers came in here. I believe that most of you have heard of the town. In my whole lifetime, I never thought I would come across a town within the land of Black people where Blacks are not allowed to live in there. People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
No.
So what is it then?
It's a culture town. It's a culture town. It's an Afrikaner town. The narrative is out there that if you preserve your culture, you're racist, and that's not true.
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come here. In this town, it's whites only. If I have to decode the whites only, I'm talking about Africans only. So if you're a black man like me, you cannot stay there.
We say Orania is a community for Afrikaners. It's not an issue just white in, black out. It's a question of culture.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africa.
Well, that is whole nother debate.
If that is the case, then let's bring the other debate.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
White South Africans make up about 8% of the population, but they hold about 3/4 of privately owned land in the country. In contrast, only 4% of privately held land is owned by Black South Africans, who make up nearly 80% of the country's 60 million residents.
I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like, they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short, from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the Black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome.
Of the decision.
Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that allows the government to expropriate property for public purposes or in the public interest, in some cases without compensation.
Well, I don't think land expropriation without compensation is a good idea. I think if you realistically look at the amount of land that the South African government has, that the big communities like the Kunyama Trust have and so on, I think the land is not the problem. The problem in South Africa is economic problem. And there's actually been research done on that, proving that people don't necessarily want land, they want a better economic future. Most people don't want to be farmers. To farm is a tough job, it's not a very rewarding job in terms of money and so on. I also think that the South African economy will collapse if there is land expropriation without compensation.
Interesting. And I want to include you in this conversation, so let me know what you think in the comment section. But don't forget to like this video because it's very important to me.
Welcome back. Orania, an Afrikaner-only town in South Africa, has weighed in on the US President Donald Trump's order halting financial aid to South Africa and offering refugee status to Afrikaners.
But this is what the Afrikaners think about Trump's offer.
We are not necessarily interested in tax dollars and handouts and help. What we want, we already got to an extent. We want recognition. We want recognition from abroad, we want recognition locally, and we want recognition from our peers. That is to say, firstly, those people are a people upon themselves, and this, they have the right to make certain decisions for themselves. That is what we want. We don't want people's money. We don't want people's handouts. We as Orania want larger recognition, greater recognition. And I think that is not too much to ask. Actually, I think that's very reasonable.
And probably you might be wondering, what do Black South Africans feel about this?
Trying to what I consider to be a micronation. It's just like a small, considered, it has certain independencies. They have their own currency.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I picked up on that, I realized that there's a measure of sovereignty that is not complete.
Yes.
You guys might be wondering, how did I got to know about this town within South Africa? So recently I found myself in South America on a project of connecting Africans in the diaspora with Africans living in Africa. So I found myself in Suriname, and I came across this village called Dahomey. And within Dahomey, no white person is allowed in this village. So out of curiosity, I was like, you know what? I need to go find out why no white person is allowed. I was told that no white people are allowed in this village. Is that true?
Do ya?
Why?
The spirit that they have here is a warrior spirit who fought against the European in the slavery time. And every time that the warrior spirit see white people, is get aggressive, so they want to fight. That's why they don't allow white people to come.
What will happen if a white person comes here?
That.
And when I released the video, the next video that came into my feed was a video of a friend of mine, by the way. His name is Joshua. He's a YouTuber based in Cape Town, talking about this town within Africa that no black person is allowed in there. And I'm like, you know what? They say curiosity kills a cat, right? So I guess with the African audience that I have, I personally want to go there as an African, as a black man, just to understand what is the motive behind it. Bro, like, literally they have everything in here. Wow. I made it to Orania, and believe me or not, this is not the Orania that I was expecting. Because when I got here, I found a country within South Africa. Are we looking at the Republic of Orania?
I think there's different levels to freedom. I think our dream, we as Afrikaners, we love republics. We've created maybe about 20 in South Africa. Only 2 of them survived long term. It was the Republic of the Transvaal and the Free State. So we are people who love republics. Our ideal form of government is a republic. And I hope that one day, maybe my children will see it.
Good morning, or should I say sunrise, from Orania. Today is actually my first day waking up from Orania, and it was such a peaceful night. But it's kind of crazy to know that I'm the only black man in here. I mean, it's so crazy knowing that you just woke up in a white-only town.
We feel so patriotic about our community, so proud. It's still small, you know, but we're so proud of the things that we have achieved.
Today, Orania operates like its own micronation. The town of about 3,000 people run its own economy, and one of the backbones of their economy is agriculture. Do you guys export this?
Yes. So we'll sell it outside. It brings money into our economy. Another interesting thing, obviously, is that here we can do something that a lot of farmers can't do, and that is we can plant 2 harvests in 1 year. So we plant the wheat in the summer. Just before Christmas, this is harvested. It's plowed very quickly, and the farmers work 20 hours a day to get it done. They harvest, they plow, they plant, and then it's maize. So your next harvest is maize, and you harvest that in the winter. In June, July, and when that goes out, you've got a short time to put in the wheat again. So
all the farmers live in Orania.
Obviously, there's farms surrounding Orania as well. This is an Orania farm, this one.
So who owns this farm?
An individual farmer owns it. It is part of Orania, but an individual farmer owns this land, and the farmer works it for their own benefit and revenue and takes the risks for themselves.
It's really mind-blowing to see a town with just 3,000 people owning their own solar farm. Does it mean that, like, you guys don't depend on the national grid?
We're still connected to the national grid.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we're approximately 45% independent from the utility, and the dream is to go the whole way.
Or what is the idea behind this whole solar farm, and which year did it begin?
It began in 2021.
Recent.
Recent.
Very recent. What is the main reason why you established your own solar farm, knowing that you live within South Africa?
The main reason for Orania is that we want to be, from the start of Orania, we wanted to be independent on many levels. And one level is energy. Our energy, if you're not energy independent, you're not free.
What makes you feel so proud as an Oranian? Should I say Oranian or South African?
You're Iranian. We're Iranians. We're in South Africa. We not loose from South Africa. They are our neighbors. We pay taxes in South Africa, but we're proud Iranians.
Schools in Orania do not teach in English as the rest of South Africa, but rather Afrikaans. Do you have a school in here?
We have two high schools, primary and secondary, and then we also have a college, tertiary training. We are dreaming to build our own Afrikaans university.
You teach in Afrikaans?
Yes, absolutely. Everything we do is Afrikaans. And studies show that children who are taught in their mother tongue perform better than children who are taught in another language.
Are you against the educational system in South Africa?
Well, I'm definitely against the Bala law that's currently being implemented.
What is that?
That is a law that gives the state control of the schools rather than the parents of the schools. So we're very much against that. I think it's the state grabbing the power of schools, taking away people's rights. There's a lot of religious issues with that. There's lots of cultural issues with that. So South Africans are actually very angry about that. That's why the schools that we built here, we get zero state funding. We don't get a cent from the government. And it's also not expensive. So all the extra money that we need for our schools, we have to raise with projects.
So does it mean that, like, all the people that study in this school are from Orania? Do you get people out of Orania?
Just, surrounding farms and so on also come here. And then the college, tertiary training, people from around the country also come to study here.
You can study here, but you can't live in here.
Well, they can. All of them can apply for the right to citizenship in Orania, definitely.
Citizenship? The college in Orania don't believe in theory only, but rather practicals, because they believe that the children are the ones that will be able to build the future of Orania. You have a college in Orania?
We identified the need to train our people in physical skills. Plumbing, electrical work, and masonry to build houses, and that's called the skills. And that's why we started the college. In 2019, we had only 5 students. 2020, 50, and now there's about 124. We're expecting more than 200 next year.
So this is more like a plumbing practical class?
Yes.
Wow.
So the first groups of students made everything, and now the second and third and fourth generation, they get to use everything the first guys built.
So their life becomes easier.
No, the tables, they built it with their lecturers.
Wow. I'm really impressed with the infrastructure development in Orania, because a town of about 3,000 people got their own airstrip, and every single road that you see in this town was actually built and financed by the people. What do you do in Oran?
My responsibility is the growth of Orania. In other words, in Orania, we don't get any money from the government. We are responsible to create our own economy and your own wealth. So my responsibility is to make sure where is the certain areas that needs to address, and then we address our areas. What we are doing, we have various projects. This is just example of a few projects that we currently busy. If you just go outside, you'll see we're currently busy building this place, this building. So it's going to be a 3-story building. That's a building that's being built here, just next to us.
The question is, how will you fund a project like this?
Okay. What we do is we say there's two various companies.
Okay.
The one company is a company that's funding, but it must make commercial sense. And then other company rent it from that company, but it's two separate countries. So you must focus on your own business. We must make sure that Orania is growing. We are not in the.
Okay.
So we rent this building from another company, and that company just make economic sense. In other words, yeah.
They built their own health facilities, and each facility is equipped with ambulance. But if the case is beyond them, they will airlift you to the general hospital in South Africa.
The helipad, we have a helipad here that can be used during emergencies. We have situations where we needed a helipad to do recons around the area, but also if there are medical emergencies where people need to be moved to hospital, we can airdrop them. We can bring in the helipad. We also have the ambulance services that help us, so we can move people to hospitals if they need to.
Orania got its own bank. And what really shocks me to see that they trade in their own currency, popularly known as the Aura. The Aura, their local currency, is used within the community to keep the money circulating among residents. Which one is the highest denomination?
So it's easy to distinguish from the rand. The 200 is the highest in value.
Okay.
And it goes all the way to 10 aura. So you get the 200, 100, 50, 20, and 10, just like the rand currency.
So exchange rate?
Exchange rate is 1-to-1. So 1 rand is equal to 1 aura. It's just to make administration quite easy. But the benefit of the aura brings a few benefits to Orania.
So the people of Orania trade with Aura.
That's correct.
Would this be relevant when I step out of Orania?
No, because you can only spend it in Orania. Wow. That keeps the economy growing. It also makes it more safe to use, because there's not going to be robberies or theft of the aura, because you can only use it in Orania. And also it's a cultural emblem for our community.
So I just want to know, is it the same price like they sell it everywhere in the country? Yes. That's how it is?
Yes.
And how am I supposed to pay? Rands or Aura?
You can pay in rand or in aura.
Oh, you accept both currencies? Yes. That's impressive. It's surprising to see that a town of about 3,000 people have their own manufacturing plant, to the extent that they manufacture things within this town and then sell it to the people out and within South Africa.
We produce here, we design and manufacture here, and then everything goes out with courier. Within a day or two, it's delivered to the customer's door address. And by doing that, we get customers that live elsewhere in South Africa to support some Iranian business.
So, in order to build the economy of Orania, you have to export products that are made in here, and the money comes back here.
Absolutely, yes.
That's impressive. Orania got their own local governance.
I think what is important of it is the fact that it's totally unique.
What makes it unique?
Well, there's no other such town council in South Africa. First, it's free of political parties. There's no political parties in Orania at all. All the people here representing the community are personally nominated and voted for. Secondly, we had a settlement with the South African government in the year 2000 about our status as a municipality, giving us the option to first make our own municipal bylaws as a local government, and secondly, to have our own local taxes and levies, which we can use for the development of Orania. So no party politics, no salaries for the elected officials. Obviously, the officials, the head engineer and the head of roads and those people, they get paid, but the elected officials do not get paid for their service to the community, and that's what makes it unique.
Is that Iranian flag?
This is our flag, yes, indeed.
Who is that? Who is this young man in there?
This young man is called the Little Giant.
The Little Giant?
Yeah, it symbolizes rolling up your sleeves to work. So, firstly, because of the fact that we're saying we as a culture, no one is coming to save us, no one is going to build a future for us. What we want to build, we'll have to roll up our sleeves and build ourselves. And secondly, the fact that we do our own work is also represented in that. Our goal, our mission here is to preserve our culture, to build something for our culture, to preserve our religion. The question, why can't a black person come here, is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else. You take your wife, she's important to you.
Yep.
Or, and in your wedding, in your marriage, you're exclusive. Doesn't mean it's not built on hate. It's built on love for our culture. We want to preserve our culture. We want to preserve our traditions, our faith, our language. These are the things that we want to preserve.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Well, that is whole nother debate. The land here, we bought, we paid for it.
From who?
Well, at that stage, we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government. Right?
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in.
My family came here in 1683. Right. My family arrived here. That is longer than American government official visited Orania a while back. And when I told him that fact, he said, well, that's way longer than my white family has been in America. He said, you guys are here in Africa longer than my people was in America.
Yeah.
So our name is Afrikaners. Our language is Afrikaans. Right. So we feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots.
Yeah.
400 years ago.
Yeah.
For 400 years, my people have been here.
Yeah.
I love Africa. I don't want to live any place else. I feel a part of this continent. My language grew, obviously from Dutch, but it grew on this continent. This is the place where I feel at home, and I've been overseas. This is the only place that I feel at home, is Africa. So there's a bit of symbolism here. So all of these busts have been either thrown away elsewhere, or they've been either donated or thrown away. And we put them in a half circle back here to represent these men are part of our history. No nation's history is only good, but also no nation's history is only bad. However, all of this is part of our history, and we put it in a semicircle with the symbolism. They cannot look over the edge of the hill. They are in the past, they're part of our history, but they're in the past.
With all the monument that I see, would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
Well, I think obviously these are controversial figures, and I think the fact that we put them here in Orania with our own funding, some people are uncomfortable in the rest of South Africa to care for them, to see them in public, and I think that's why Orania is also a solution to a lot of the international conversation about monuments, because this is on private land, private funds, and it's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Iranians.
He was more like the architect for apartheid. Do you agree with that?
I agree with the fact that he implemented a lot of policies in the apartheid era. I think the apartheid legacy comes from the South Africa that the British created in 1910, the legal framework that they created at that stage, and the realities that follow after that. A lot of the South African black people fought on the British side and did not get recognition or the ability to vote after that. Yes, he continued with some policies, he created new ones, but the reality of South Africa in that context was already set there in 1910.
You don't think it's because of this that's why people have problems with it? Because of history like this? Because so many South Africans are not happy with this history, even though it's part of them. But I believe, like you just said, let the past be past. I mean, we can never forget our history. But I mean, I feel like this been here, it's more like a, what do you call it? Like a sword in the eyes of the people of South Africa.
I don't think so.
You don't think
I don't
so?
think so. We have had from the ANC Youth League, we've had influential South African politicians. We have had 2 state presidents of South Africa. Nelson Mandela landed with his helicopter just there. We have had traditional black communities, Xhosas, Zulus. We have had the people of the Barulong tribe. All of them have been there. I have seen in their eyes no offense. They have expressed no offense. They have embraced Urania as a model that they can learn from, and they understand that we have the right to put our history in a context for our people here, for a way that we can explain it to our children and our grandchildren.
My experience is 2 things I take from Orania. Number 1 is that they're doing it for themselves. And that's the culture that we as black people need to learn fast and hard. They've got white domestic workers, they build their place. You look at Orania and jealous down. What is wrong with Orania for me is the racism thing. What is right is the fact that those people are building a city right in front of our eyes.
10-year plan for Orania is to turn this that you see here, to take this from town to city. And true to our culture, we don't want a big city full of skyscrapers. We're going to build no higher than 3 stories. And we will integrate our agriculture with our city. What we want is a city that feels like farm, because we are farm people. We are people who live in the open, like camping and hunting and outdoor activities. So we want a city that feels like a farm, and we're going to build a rural city. That's our dream. Our businesses, our schools, our Afrikaans university between these agricultural lands here around us.
People out here believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
I do not believe that we are practicing racism. To tell you the truth, I've said it many times that if the question is, are there racists in Orania, I can assure you there are. There are racists in every town in South Africa, and every country in the world you'll find racists. That is a fact. The Orania model is a model of cultural preservation, and that is not racist. So you might disagree with me, but my personal belief, my honest belief, is that the Orania model is not racist at all. It is, however, a model to preserve something that we hold dear and to create a future where we can live our values, our religion, our language, and share our culture.
Who are the people that are not allowed in here?
Well, Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners who embrace the idea of own labor, we embrace our freedom ideals. This is who lives here.
If you check when South Africa gained independence, if you check the coat of arms of South Africa, it said there is unity in diversity. Orania is within South Africa. But at the end of the day, I believe what you are practicing in here is not unity in diversity.
I beg to differ.
Can you explain that?
How can there be any diversity in South Africa if cultures are not allowed to be themselves? How can there be any diversity at all? If everyone is the same, there's no diversity. If you have a cultural community and you have the Xhosa people or the Barulong people, and they also embrace their identity, and from a standpoint of knowing who you are, of being proud of your culture, of embracing who you are, you get to a point of self-confidence where you then can put out your hand and say, without anyone forcing us, I can build a diplomatic relationship with this and this, and we can do it on our own terms, community to community. That's unity and diversity. To just write it on a coat of arms doesn't mean anything. To live it by creating your own identity. Identity is needed for diversity. Without identity, there is no diversity.
Based on the conversation we've had so far, I actually have a problem with English.
Well, we sure have our historical disagreements. The reason, I think there's a reason for that. The reason for that is the English took us to the brink of extinction. They took us to the brink of extinction. They almost, in the peace negotiations after the Second War with the English, one of the generals said, if we continue this war, we will be genocided off the face of the earth. We cannot continue this war. At that stage, 30,000 women and children were killed in concentration camps. So they took us to the brink of total stopping to exist. So obviously, Afrikaners had a historic feeling of being threatened by that. I think that we are past that and so on, but still, we have that colonial force of the national government in South Africa trying to make all the schools English, for example. It's not something we agree with.
If you have that problem with English, I guess Black South Africans also need to have a problem with you. Because at the end of the day, they were enslaved. They went through, I mean, with apartheid that happened. I mean, for me being here, I feel like seeing what I'm seeing, with what you're saying, I feel like Orania is glorifying apartheid.
Then I don't think you understand Orania.
I perfectly understand. I understand whatever you're saying. You don't think?
In the Great Trek, in the wars, many of our people were killed by leaders like Degan and Shaka. And you know, and there's the issues with the previous regime as well. So our question now is, are we going to hold this as a tit for tat game forever? Urania's way of thinking about that is a very niche model. I don't think it's a mainstream idea thinking about it, but we have our own way of thinking. We view freedom as not being oppressed by anyone and not oppressing anyone. And I think that's not the reality in South Africa anymore. I think you spoke about apartheid now. So the systems put in place, what is the difference between having a pass under the apartheid regime to go into a certain place to go work and and now swiping an ID card to get into a luxury estate to do people's work? What's the difference? When you're still living in the township, what is the practical difference?
So are you saying that apartheid still exists in South Africa today?
I think the economic equalities based on race in South Africa still exist. And I think the only place where that doesn't exist because the people do their own work is here. And I think there is no going forward unless Afrikaners embrace that model. Listen, what you're not going to get in Urania is people falling on their knees continuously saying sorry for their history. A lot of people apologize on our behalf for everything, and there's a lot of internal Afrikaner friction about that. But in Urania, you will find solutions. Maybe it's not the nice cherry on top stuff, people feel warm in their hearts, Urania is so nice to us, but you will find long-term solutions in terms of labor policies, in terms of community-to-community relationships, and in terms of the way we think.
Listen, I might not agree with the ideologies of the people living in Orania in certain aspect, but I believe that what they've done in here is super impressive, and I feel like other communities within the continent of Africa can embrace these ideas. You know, I've been talking about self-independent, self-sufficient now. I mean, I believe that that's what Kwame Nkrumah's ideology was, and basically everything is here. These guys don't need to step out of, Orania. They can actually live here and survive. Let's talk about the continent of Africa. When COVID happened, most of us could not even survive because we just depended on the West. We're dependent on China for survival. But I believe that if we start, building our own communities, our own way, knowing that, hey, we're gonna make money and use the money that we make within our community to build our community, I believe that, like, the entire Africa will be super great, man. What do you think the world can learn from Orania?
I think what the world needs to know about Orania is there's nothing strange about it. It's across the world. You get this whole thing that people come together, and we feel the same as hundreds and thousands of other people. If you look at the country like South Tyrol, they do exactly the same. And I don't think there's anything sinister about it. And the world needs to know that what's going on in Orania is the same what is going on in the kingdom of Zululand or the kingdom of Lesotho or the kingdom of whatever it might be. It's people who feel they need to get together and who think together